But I think you have some great news on progress that's been made thanks to the efforts of people like Zev Yaroslavsky and Art Leahy. Yaroslavsky and Art Leahy. Well, introduce in just a second. We're going to pass a housekeeping. We're going to pass a sheet around. Please sign in, and then there's the evaluation sheets. Please give us good marks so we can all be invited back next year. Let me introduce our panelists now, and I'm going to turn it over to them for some opening remarks. Next to me is my friend Joe Aiello. He is a partner and chief executive officer of Meridian Infrastructure North America. Sitting next to Joe is John Graff. He's the chief financial officer of the Reason Foundation. He's been very active on P3 issues. I think you all know Zev Yaroslavsky, our Los Angeles County supervisor and a major mover in the transportation area during his many years on not only the Board of Supervisors but on the Los Angeles City Council. And next to him, Art Leahy, chief executive officer of our metro system. Art formerly in Orange County. I always tell Art, I love what you did in Orange County. I love when I get from the 5 in LA to the 5 in Orange County. It's like 12 lanes and it's beautiful. I say, please do that for us in LA County. I'm going to start by asking Supervisor Yaroslavsky to kick off with a few remarks.
A few remarks in general about transportation, or a few remarks about anything in particular, Dario? Well, we are at a very propitious time in LA County's transportation history, largely because of Measure R and some other things that are happening. And we have an opportunity now, and we're going to exercise the opportunity to build billions of dollars worth of projects, transit projects, highway projects, interurban rail, intra-urban rail, expanding the Orange Line busway here in the San Fernando Valley, hopefully getting the Mid-Valley North-South line going sometime soon, making a decision on the routing of that. If the America Fast Forward plan, which is being pushed by our mayor, it gets any traction in Washington, it's not clear how much traction it's getting. But if it does, we could accelerate 30 years worth of projects in Los Angeles County's Measure R plan into the first 10 years of the 30-year sales tax, which would be a huge infusion of resources, a huge creation of jobs, over 160,000 jobs at a time when we need them badly, and most importantly, it would build an infrastructure that this goes down. Traffic is back up again, even though unemployment remains high. So when the unemployment comes back down, which it inevitably will, the traffic conditions, the gridlock in many parts of our region will be at an all-time high. The level of frustration that the public has with traffic and transportation was evidenced in November of 2008 when the voters voted to assess themselves a half-cent sales tax in the midst of the biggest economic collapse since the Great Depression. It was one of the most remarkable political events I've ever been a part of. I would have bet my firstborn son that, which really ticks him off, by the way, as he says, you're not a very good better. But I would have bet my firstborn son that we could never have gotten 2/3 of a vote for a half-cent sales tax with the stock market crashing and people pulling money out of the banks because they didn't think they'd have it to be there the next day to see it. And yet people voted 68% in favor of the of Measure R. It's a statement of confidence in the MTA and Metro's ability to do things. A remarkable turnaround from the 1990s when the Metro was the laughingstock of the county and of the FBI and the Justice Department, so that turned around. It was a vote of confidence in our ability to do the job, but it was also a statement of how frustrated people are and how much they're willing to do to mitigate their frustrations, and that is to assess themselves a half-cent sales tax. It's a remarkable thing. So we have to build on that momentum. We have to take advantage of that political support that we have. We have to make good on the promises we made. We're moving as fast as we can to get projects going. The first one was right here in the San Fernando Valley, the extension of the Orange Line from Warner Center to Chatsworth, which is going to be a much more heavily used line than projected. I am certain of that. But to build the regional system, a system whose whole is bigger than the sum of its parts. Every time we build another line, another transit line that connects to the regional transportation network, it doesn't only connect that segment, it connects everybody that feeds into that segment to the rest of the system. When we built the Orange Line in the San Fernando Valley from here, from North Hollywood to Woodland Hills to Warner Center, it wasn't just serving that corridor. It served all the people who come from the central part of Los Angeles to Warner Center to work, the people who go from the West Valley to downtown to work. It connected the valley to the subway and to the rest of the regional transportation network. So every time we build one of these lines, the value we get is not just the value of that one line, but it's the value of connecting people in the corridor of that line to all the other corridors that we've already built. So the sooner we can get that going, the sooner we can give people an alternative to being stuck in gridlock, the sooner we can put people back to work. This is a win-win for everybody, and my hope is that Los Angeles, with the help of the federal government, can help turn the economy of the nation around. And with this, I'll conclude. And it's something that bears repeating, and I do repeat it from time to time, and that's this. California is 22% of the nation's economy. And Los Angeles County and its environs is about a third of the state's economy. So if you want to turn the economy of the nation around, it starts in California. If you solve unemployment in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and the Ohio River Valley, and you don't solve California, California's unemployment rate would still be a drag on the rest of the national economy. By the same token, if you want to solve California's unemployment problem, it starts in Los Angeles County, because we're a third of the state's economy. And you can solve Santa Clara County and Alameda County and Yolo and Mono and all the other counties' unemployment problem, but if you don't solve LA County's unemployment problem, it's a drag on the rest of the state. So in a very real sense, the unemployment problem of the nation, or the solution to the unemployment problem in the nation, starts right here in LA County. Because if we are about 7 or 8% of the nation's economy, if we can do something about it here, we can start bringing the rest of the nation back into a more stable economy. And that's what many of us, the mayor particularly, with the 3010 plan, now known as the America Fast Forward plan, and many of us have been pushing Washington to recognize that this is, if they can give us an infusion of cash now, lend us money now that we will pay back over the next 30 years with the stream of sales tax that Measure R represents, we can build an infrastructure, we can put people back to work, and by the way, the federal government gets its money back, which is not something they're used to getting. So this is a great opportunity. This is a great time in transportation. This is, I think, will be viewed as the golden age of transportation infrastructure building in Southern California, certainly since the 1950s, and we ought to take advantage of it and seize that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Yaroslavsky. Art Leahy, want to comment on that as well?
Thank you very much. Of course, I agree with what Director Yaroslavsky said. It is a golden age for transportation in Los Angeles. In fact, I'm serious about this. I tell my coworkers, if you're not happy at the MTA today, we have the biggest program in the 120-year history of transit in Los Angeles. If you aren't happy, you need to go home and think about your life. It's a great time to work at the MTA, because we are shaping the future of the city. We are revolutionizing Los Angeles. We can do things today which were inconceivable just a short time ago. I came up today from Santa Ana on a train. I came here on a train from Santa Ana. Amazing. You can go to Pasadena on a train today and have lunch, and after that you could go to the Rose Bowl and you could watch SC beat UCLA. And next year you can take a train down to Exposition Park and see Tyrannosaurus Rex, and then you can go to the Coliseum and CSCB, UCLA. You can see it's an all-purpose transit system. This may be the last presentation I make as a CEO. We're working on 15 highway projects and a dozen rail projects. You've heard about them. I'll comment them on a bit later. We're working on our bus system. We've rationalized and optimized service levels in the past couple of years. We've improved reliability. On-time service is up from about 60 to 78%. Buses ahead of schedule is down from 15 or 20 to 3%. Rule violations independently monitored are down 90-95%. The buses and the trains and the stations are cleaner. We're doing a much better job of managing the system so that people can use it today. We'll soon be talking about improving service on the subway. If you think about what a magnificent asset that is, it connects Universal City with Hollywood and Highland, which is like Times Square in Los Angeles, Hollywood and Vine, LA Live. It's a changed place. You can go to Union Station, and from there go to Pasadena or Long Beach or wherever you want to go. Wonderful things are beginning to happen. We need to run late night service on the subway. I want to run till midnight every 10 minutes. Now it's every 20. Next year I want to talk with the board about running till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning because this place is changing. We're working with Metrolink to improve their service. They're doing some creative things. We're also working with something called the Losan corridor, which is the San Diego, Orange, LA, Ventura, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo corridor. We want to integrate the Amtrak service with the Metrolink service. That corridor is really, if you think about it, it's really the I-5 Hollywood Freeway Losan corridor. The benefit of the rail service is relief on the I-5 and on the Hollywood. Very frankly, we're taking the position that we're better able to make decisions here about that local service, that regional service, than they are in Washington, D.C., and therefore the decision authority ought to be shifted down here. On the freeways, we're working on the 405 and the 5. We're working on the 710 project, the High Desert Corridor. A lot of great things are happening. I want to just comment in closing on America Fast Forward. The supervisor kind of outlined that. We've kind of evolved that argument a bit. Obviously, we want the transportation benefit, but now, especially in the face of this very durable recession, we want to talk about jobs creation as a major asset. That's kind of the coin of the realm maybe for the next year or two. Someone mentioned for a little while ago that the shape of funding has shifted. Indeed, it used to be that the major portion of funding for big projects was federal. That's not true anymore. Increasingly, it's local. The problem is if you have $1 in a federal project, then all the federal rules apply. Specifically, what that does is prohibit local hiring preferences. That creates a real problem. If I'm talking to the mayor of LA or a supervisor or whatever who says it's a local sales tax, I'd like to create local jobs, but if there's a federal dollar in, I'm prohibited from doing that. That doesn't make any sense. In the setting that we now face, it is in the interest of the federal government to incentivize locals to have non-federal revenue streams. One way of doing that is by offering low-cost financing. Another way of doing that is to permit local hiring preferences and procurement preferences when, in fact, the project is predominantly locally funded. And with that, I'll close for now.
Thank you, Art. John, you want to give us
Oh, sure.
from Reason Foundation?
Sure. I'm going to tee things up for my new friend Joe over here. Well, let's start with Measure R. And 15% of the projects, the dollars allocated in Measure R are scheduled to be spent on highways. More than 75% of the people who commute in Los Angeles are on the highways. So I question the spending on Measure R. I question the thinking behind it. That being said, I love trains. I grew up in New York. I use the train to get everywhere. I'm excited about the new line running to Culver City. I'm going to take my kids down to the museum there. But we have a new study coming out that shows that increased transit utilization does not actually impact congestion. And we're talking about that in terms of the travel time index. For people who get to work, the amount of time it takes to get to work does not vary when people start taking the train. And the reason for that is because not enough people can take the train to make a difference. You've got population growth, you've got other things that happen. So what's the solution? The solution is not to tax more, to spend more from Metro on the highways. The solution is to enable public-private partnerships to come in to fund projects with toll revenue, to future fund projects with future toll revenue, and to build the infrastructure that's going to solve congestion. We studied 74 urbanized areas in the country, of the largest urbanized areas in the country. And of them, on a per capita basis, Los Angeles was last in freeway miles. The Los Angeles Long Beach area was last in freeway miles per capita. 20 large freeway projects in Los Angeles were canceled, were planned as part of, these are projects that are going to be necessary to solve congestion, to grow with Los Angeles, and they were canceled. I'm not saying that we should have more spending from the government to solve these problems. I'm saying we need to create a framework that allows the private sector to come in, like they did on the 91 freeway, and create additional capacity, fund that capacity in advance, build the roads, toll to make their revenue, to pay their debt, and add freeway capacity. Again, I like having trains. I think that trains are nice. The question to me becomes a question of scarce resources. And I think our best investments, shown by the way people travel in Los Angeles, is in the roads. We're seeing a lot of good projects right now underway. HOV lanes, you know, Reason would say HOV is great, but the only way you can manage congestion, and Dario, I think we'll probably get to this later, the only way we can manage congestion is with pricing. And you create variable pricing on toll roads that do two things. One thing that we learned from Carmageddon, if you all remember Carmageddon, the disaster that wasn't, no one drove on the 405 freeway because there was information that said, don't drive on the 405 freeway. So if we can provide people with information, they can make better decisions. And I'll leave it there and let Joe talk for a minute, and we'll see where we go from there.
Thanks, and I'll stay decidedly outside of the debate. You can probably tell from my bad use of the English language, I'm from the East Coast. But I'd say a couple of things. First of all, sort of explain, as one of the public-private partnership investors, a little bit about sort of how we think about the market. And we represent the pension funds and insurance companies that have a great interest in investing in infrastructure. So they invest in firms like ours, and our job is to identify projects and to invest and provide